Welcome to Disney's Wide World of Sports complex at Walt Disney World Resort in Lake Buena Vista, Florida for Magic the Gathering's U.S. National Championship. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Todd Harris. Well, today, the best players in the country have traveled to Florida to lay claim to the title of U.S. National Champion. Also on the line is a spot on the prestigious U.S. national team, which will be traveling to Brussels, Belgium later this year to compete in the World Championship event. An invitation-only field of 156 competitors has their eyes on that $25,000 first prize, but it's not about the money.
At U.S. Nationals, you're playing against the best from your own country.
It's considered the hardest tournament ever. Like, the best players in the nation are here. You come to claim the title.
Nationals is different from other pro-level events because it's the only time you actually have an opportunity to represent something more than yourself.
There's a lot of pride on the line.
I was ecstatic that I got to go to Worlds and represent my country against all other countries in the world.
Representing my country would be the best thing that could possibly happen. To go home and say I'm the U.S. national champ, like my friends, my family, it'd be crazy, it'd be wonderful.
It's more than just the money, it's pride.
And when you win, it's just the best feeling.
It's about pride. It's about being here and taking this tournament to the next level, taking your country to the next level.
Defending national champion Kyle Rose lost in the quarterfinals, as did three-time U.S. national team member Michael Long. Veteran Mike Turian and fellow Pittsburgh native Aaron Forsythe had great success playing their Angry Hermit deck in the preliminary rounds, but in the end, it was John Finkel and Chris Benefell who earned the right to compete for the title of U.S. national champion. John Finkel is the game's all-time leading money winner. Chris Benefell is on a hot streak this season and hoping it will last one more match. Here's Randy Buehler and Brian Hacker with a look at the decks.
Finkel is playing a control black deck originally designed by Mike Flores. The idea behind the deck is to gain control of the game by destroying whatever creatures your opponent puts into play and knocking all the key cards out of your opponent's hand. Vampiric Tutor allows Finkel access to whatever card he wants to draw, and Yawgmoth's Will allows him to recast all the spells that have accumulated in his graveyard.
Benefell is playing a mono-red land destruction deck called Ponza. His plan is very straightforward. Prevent the opponent from ever casting any spells by blowing up every land he puts into play. The rest of his spells are designed to destroy creatures the opponent managed to get into play before all their land is gone. Hammer of Bogarden and Masticore serve as his primary routes to victory.
Neither of these decks plays many creatures. Instead, they both play many ways to destroy the other guy's creatures, and they assume that it will be easy to win the game once they gain control of it. Benefell's Ponza deck is thought to have the advantage in this matchup since Finkel's control black deck requires a lot of land. However, you can never count out John Finkel.
We now join game one in progress. It's now turn 3.
Finkel casts Vampiric Tutor. This is one of the key cards in his deck. Vampiric Tutor allows you to pay 2 life and search your deck for any card you want, put it on top. Now, John's deck has a lot of individual copies of really powerful cards. He sort of has one for each potential opponent. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a real silver bullet against Benefell's Ponza deck. He's got, some good options, but the idea behind the deck is to use a Vampiric Tutor base and access whatever the perfect card is for the time you cast a Vampiric Tutor. What do you think the perfect card is for this time?
Well, I think Persecute. If he has a ritual, or if he has the ritual. If he has a ritual, he'd take Persecute. If he has Persecute, he'd probably go get a ritual because Benefell can use this Rashad and Port to tap one of his land.
Sure. There's ritual. Persecute says choose a color. Your opponent discards all cards of that color. Benefell's hand, all red cards.
Oh, wow, all 5.
All 5 red cards. There go all of them. Wow.
Your turn.
What a play.
Chris Benefell never really recovered from that Persecute, and John Finkel took a quick 1-0 lead in his best 3 out of 5 match. And we'll be right back after this. The card is very elaborate, and that's just one of the elements that makes this game so appealing. Let's take a moment to learn more about Magic the Gathering. Magic is a trading card game. The object is to reduce your opponent's score from 20 to 0. To do that, players send their creatures against each other in waves, always seeking a lapse in the defense or an opening to exploit. To get you up to speed, here are the 3 basic types of cards. Creature cards attack and damage the opposition, and they can be used to block attacks. Then you have spell cards, each with an effect on the game that helps you or hinders your opponent. Land cards are the resources. With more land in play, the creatures get bigger and the spells get more devastating. Magic requires planning, tactics, and the ability to think fast. They say you can learn how to play immediately, but mastering the game can take a lifetime. As we join game number 2, Benefil has his hammer of Bogarden, and Finkel's only way to stop the hammer is the 2 copies of Rapid Decay that he brought in from his sideboard. Here's Randy and Brian.
Did he just cycle Rapid Decay there? He must have...
Why did Finkel cycle Rapid Decay?
Must have Yawgmoth's Will on his hand.
Ah, that might do it. That's got to mean he has Yawgmoth's Will in his hand.
And plus you catch the ultimate tell, which is Finkel keeps staring
Looking at his graveyard. Yawgmoth's Will allows him to play a Swamp and a Dark Ritual. That undoes some of the land destruction. He's going to get to cast Duress and remove the hammer. Really powerful card. Really probably the key spell to Finkel's deck. Benefil had another hammer, and Rapid Decay can remove 2 cards from the graveyard. So there go both hammers. Wow. What were the other cards in Benefil's hand?
These 2 for sure.
Had 2 Masticores, was it?
Yeah, that's right. So be interesting to see if Benefil waits for an additional land so that he can possibly, I guess, regenerate Masticore, although I'm not sure if Finkel has anything other than double Vicious Hunger where it would be necessary to regenerate Masticore. Well, here's Masticore. And like I was saying earlier, he did draw another land, so he decided to play it. But it looks like he just wanted to keep the mana open for Port, so he's not really worried about double Vicious Hunger.
There's only 1 Vicious Hunger left in Finkel's deck. He sideboarded 2 of them out. They're actually really weak against Ponza.
True. I don't know whether Benefil would assume that Finkel would board them out. He knows that Finkel has a lot of dead spots in his deck.
And he knows Finkel has at least 1 Vicious Hunger in his deck since he used it earlier to kill Avalanche Runner.
Yep.
Finkel had the other Rapid Decay, cycles that just to draw a card.
Super.
Oh! Stupor knocks the card out of Benefil's hand, prevents him from upkeeping Masticore. Wow. Here Benefil is yet again with no cards in his hand and no threats on the board. This keeps happening.
That was ugly. Well, if you're a Chris Benefil fan out there, you didn't want to see that. That kind of play was rated R.
Your turn.
Benefil just shakes his head. I've been wrecked.
I'd like to be United States National Champion because it's something I haven't done before, and it's really, one of the few things you can die in a World Championship that I'd really like to do. Magic's a job, but it's a job where I get to go interesting places and, be around very intelligent people and make a lot of good friends while still making decent money. They made the Pro Tour a much larger event. They have the Masters tournaments, and it really revitalized the game. A lot of new players came in, a lot of old players who, haven't played as much came in. So with a lot of my friends playing and with, the increased scale of events, I decided, it was something I really wanted to do, so I should really put in more effort. The biggest advantage I had this tournament was that I drafted off the new set Prophecy. This resulted in my doing very well in the draft portion. I went 6-0. If I were to be national champion, it would be great because it would give me a chance to represent my country at the World Championships and really help lead the United States team to hopefully another team victory as a team competition.
With the recent announcement that Magic prize money is about to triple, who knows how much more money John Finkel is going to win. Life's Gatherings U.S. National Championship here at Disney's Wide World of Sports complex at Walt Disney World Resort in Lake Buena Vista, Florida. Now let's rejoin coverage of John Finkel versus Chris Benefil in the championship match. They're in game number 2. Here's Randy Bueller and Brian Hacker.
Go.
When will Finkel draw a creature? If Finkel had any one of his 6 creatures, he could just start attacking and deal 20 points of damage. Oh, there it is. Thrashing Wampus.
And we know that Benefil doesn't have but one hammer left in his deck, so it's probably going to have to be a combination of 2 cards to kill the Thrashing Wumpus.
Yep. Yeah.
Benefel has reestablished Dust Bowl superiority. Finkel has Wumpus superiority. Judge Colin Jackson looks on in complete control.
Red.
Finkel casts Persecute, names red. That'll knock all the red cards out of Benefel's hand, if there are any. Oh, he had just a land in his hand. So Persecute didn't actually do anything. Finkel had Skittering Scourge to his attack. That's a lot of damage now. Finkel can win this game in just 2 or 3 turns now. 3 or 4 turns.
Go. X 11. Exit
Smash.
10. Your turn.
Finkel uses the special ability of Thrashing Wumpus to deal 1 damage to all creatures and players. Normally, Thrashing Wumpus is used to kill your opponent's creatures, but it can also serve as a nice finisher, just dealing direct damage straight at the guy's head.
Okay.
Draws Cave In.
Your turn.
That deals 2 damage to all creatures. Good enough to kill Skittering Scourge, but not Thrashing Wumpus. It also deals 2 damage to all creatures. Boy, those 2 Yawgmoth's Wills were amazing this game. Here he comes. Yep, that'll do it. Finkel activates Thrashing Wumpus to deal the last 5 points of damage, and he takes a 2-0 lead. John Finkel on the verge of becoming U.S. national champion.
Let's look back at Finkel's key turn. Finkel knew he had to deal with Benefel's hammer, but he didn't panic. He first cycled Rapid Decay, drawing an extra card before playing Yawgmoth's Will. Since he saw that he'd have 1 mana left over, Finkel cast Duress first and was rewarded for his flawless play by getting to remove a second hammer from the game.
When we come back, John Finkel will try to close out this championship in 3 straight games. Stay with us.
I'm here with Brian Hacker, and we're ready for Game 3 of the U.S. National Championship. John Finkel currently leads 2-0 against Chris Benefel. Finkel's a Grand Prix champion. He's a Pro Tour champion. He's a World Team champion. He's a Pro Tour Player of the Year. And he looks to add U.S. National Champion to his already impressive resume. Interesting thing that happened before this game is that Benefel modified his sideboard. He decided to bring different cards in. What was he up to, Brian?
Well, I guess he decided to switch his strategy around. He put the Tectonic Breaks, all 4 of them, into the sideboard. He had 1 going into Game 2. He also brought a Masticore into the sideboard as well. Also, a Cave-In saw its way into the sideboard in order to get 3 Thran Foundries in his deck.
Yeah, Thran Foundry is an artifact that forces target player to shuffle their graveyard back into their library. So he can use those to counteract Finkel's Yawgmoth's Wills. He can also use those to counter Finkel's Rapid Decays by shuffling his own hammers back into his library.
That's an excellent point, Randy, and I think that he probably should have had the Thran Foundries in for Game 2.
Yeah, it seems like the key to Finkel's deck is Yawgmoth's Will. I'm really surprised that Benefel didn't bring them in for Game 2, but I guess now that Finkel used those 2 Yawgmoth's Wills so effectively in Game 2, Benefel figured it out.
Yeah, Benefel's in a real trying position here. He did not draw a 3rd land, so it's going to be interesting to see if Benefel can get out of this sticky situation he's got himself into.
Finkel seems to be developing his position just fine. Of course, Finkel only has 6 creatures in his deck right now, so if he doesn't have one, Benefel might have time to recover. Finkel casts a Duress to see what's going on. He's got lots of choices. Benefel has a couple Stone Rains. He has an Avalanche Rider, a Pillage, a Shock, a Cave-In.
Your turn.
Finkel takes the Pillage. Wants to deprive Benefel of the ability to blow up artifacts, I assume.
Go.
Yeah, Benefel still doesn't have a 3rd land. That could be bad. Does Finkel have a damage source?
Red.
Oh! Persecute, naming red.
Well, if Finkel made a R-rated play in Game 2, that was NC-17. If there's any...
Wow, that was brutal.
Yeah, if there's anybody from the JSS sitting next to you, you might want to cover their eyes on this one.
Benefeld draws a land. Beats with the get to encampment.
Go.
Wow, so Finkel has just worked Chris Benefeld with that persecute. He used it against him in the Swiss, he used it against him in this match, just constantly knocking all the cards out of Benefeld's hand. Benefeld does still have a Masticore in his hand, but he'll need land before he can even play it.
The Masticore is a lot less useful when you don't have any other cards in your hand.
And there's a damage source. There's Skittering Scourge.
You could at least make it close.
It's kind of fragile with only 2 toughness. But Benefeld's going to have to draw an answer.
It was very unfortunate for Benefeld that he didn't draw his 3rd land until...
Right, he had a handful of land destruction spells.
Yeah.
Benefeld's deck is supposed to be a land destruction deck. He has 12 spells that do nothing but blow up somebody else's land.
Yeah, unfortunately for Benefeld, he hasn't been able to implement that strategy really in any of the 3 games that we've seen.
He's never gotten a good land destruction draw. Here, if he'd had a 3rd land, he could have gone Stone Rain. He could have prevented Finkel from ever building up the 4 mana necessary to cast Persecute. That little hiccup in his mana development was all it took for Finkel to destroy him.
Let's get to know Chris Benefeld.
Winning the national championship would be great. I'd really enjoy it. It's very prestigious and hard. There are a lot of really good competitors. My favorite thing about playing Magic is the competitiveness, and it's a fun game. I really enjoy it. It takes, you know, some sort of practice, so it's not all about luck. I've been playing Magic for about 5.5 years, 6 years. I'm really enjoying knowing that I'll be playing at Worlds on the U.S. national team with John Finkel rather than against him.
They'll be joined by Aaron Forsythe and Frank Hernandez for the World Championships in Belgium later this summer. To devastate Chris Benefeld's position, and then played a Skittering Scourge, a 3/2 flying creature. Benefeld has a card called Masticore in his hand that could destroy the Scourge if only Benefeld could build up to 4 lands in play. Now let's see whether Benefeld can regain control of this game or if John Finkel will become the 2000 U.S. national champion. Here's Randy and Brian with the call.
Uh-oh. Finkel casts Vampiric Tutor. One of the keys to the deck that allows him access to any card he wants. Anything from his deck. He can go pay 2 life, put it on top, and draw it next turn. It's a really powerful effect in this deck with all of its super powerful individual cards. Many of them are situational, so they're only good in specific circumstances, but when you can draw them at the right time, they can be devastating.
Yeah, and Finkel has been able to use Yawgmoth's Will to great effectiveness, so it'll be interesting to see if he didn't have a Yawgmoth's Will in his hand, if he goes for that. You can see his graveyard right here, what's available. He's got Spawning Pool and a Persecute, along with a couple other cards. He cycled out a Rapid Decay.
Are we going to find out what... that Dust Bowl may have been what he tutored for.
That sounds right.
Yeah, probably. Dust Bowl's really good right now. It allows Finkel to play land destruction. He can blow up both those get-to encampments and prevent Benefeld from ever building up his position. Skittering Scourge continues to attack. Benefeld's currently down to 17. Now he's at 14. If Finkel has another land to blow up the second get-to encampment, that could be really powerful. Oh, there's Yawgmoth's Will. Finkel plays land and casts Vampiric Tutor again. Not the most devastating Yawgmoth's Will he's ever had, but it's still pretty good. John Finkel does have Phyrexian Processor in his deck after sideboarding. That's some damage source, if that's what he went for. He now has 4 land. He could go Processor and start making just enormous creatures. Phyrexian Processor is an artifact that allows you to pay any amount of life you want, and then every turn you can make a creature whose power and toughness are both equal to the life you paid. So you can pay 5 life one time and start making 5/5s every turn. Scourge comes over for 3. Yup. Phyrexian Processor. How much life do you think he should pay?
I think probably 4 is sufficient. 4 is a real problem.
Finkel paid 5. He's a little greedier than you are. Oh, no! The pillage destroys
was
Phyrexian
irrelevant,
Processor.
but at least they're on my side a little bit.
Wow. Finkel paid 5 life, but he never got the chance to make any big
You
minion
just wanna
tokens.
really beat my
Finkel knew
Hey.
Benefeld did not have pillage 3 turns ago, but Benefeld obviously drew it in the meantime.
my Yawgmoth.
Still,
blow it up,
Benefeld needs an
baby.
answer to Skittering Scourge. And pretty quickly. Finkel casts Unmask, allowing him to remove a card from Benefeld's hand. He has his choice of Masticore and Avalanche Rider. Sides for Avalanche Rider. Makes sense. Finkel wants to keep his land so that his Yawgmoth's Wills will be powerful. And so that his Dust Bowl can be powerful.
Your turn.
Yeah, I don't think Benefeld's ever going to be able to build up the 4 mana necessary to cast Masticore. That Scourge may just go all the way.
I believe
That
it will.
one Scourge may just tap 7 times and deal 21 points of damage. That's Michael Jordan Scourge.
There's all my land.
Hey, there's land number 4.
What's interesting is he could actually
There's
play the
Masticore.
Masticore and
Right,
let
right.
it go.
He has no cards in his hand, but he can untap, shoot the Scourge twice before Masticore dies. Or not. Or he can get Masticore eradicated. Yeah, Eradicate removes all the Masticores from play, from Benefeld's hand, and from Benefeld's library. Wow, John Finkel has all the answers.
Yeah, he sure does.
And
And I think he's in command in this game, most definitely. There's very few things that Benefeld could draw that even keep him in the game.
Right, Air Scourge has dealt 18 points of damage, just takes 1 more hit. And Benefeld will run out of life points, and Finkel will be U.S. national champion.
It's the key pull for Benefeld.
Yep, he needs an answer here. Nope. John Finkel wins the U.S. National Championship. Wow, what a dominating performance from John Finkel. He wins 3 games to 0.
You could see from the smile on John Finkel's face the turn before he cast Persecute that he knew he was about to win the national title. This game might have been close if Benefeld had drawn a 3rd land before Finkel's 4th turn, but he didn't, and it wasn't. Finkel's 3-0 sweep was one of the most impressive wins this young sport has ever seen.
Finkel wins $25,000 for his efforts today. Next up for the top 4 finishers is the team competition at the World Championships in Brussels, Belgium.
I'm very happy to be a member of the U.S. national team and to be the U.S. national champion finally. You know, it's good to represent my country at Worlds with some good team members, and I think we'll be hearing from all of us again in a couple months in Belgium.
So for Randy Buehler and Brian Hacker, I'm Todd Harris saying thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in again on July 20th for coverage of the Magic the Gathering U.S. Draft Challenge. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network, go.com.